Hello.
We have to welcome each other.
I believe so. So, welcome. And one of us has to hit the place, ladies first.
Okay. This is a very unusual show. We are hosting ourselves here.
Right. So, we welcome ourselves.
Some names need absolutely no introduction. Mr. Naseeruddin Shah, Miss Kangana Ranaut, welcome to TapeCast. It's an absolute honor to have two such inspiring actors with us. Now everyone's excited to hear you speak about your craft and life. So let's begin, shall we? Kangana, why don't you pick the first tape for Mr. Shah?
I'm here to take you on a journey with two minds, unlike any other. There is no limit to their creativity. They are the rule breakers, the norm makers. Are you curious to know how they think? So am I. Let's find out what makes them go beyond.
So first I'll pick some of the first thing that I saw there is a heartbreak. I am a huge fan of Naseer sir, and I'm telling him that how many times I've seen Jaane Bhi Do Yaaro, even I have lost count. But honestly, I don't know much about his personal life because he's so guarded. So I would like to know about all kind of heartbreaks that he's gone through.
Okay.
I once read an article in which you said 30 of your films remain unreleased. Why was this the case? Doesn't this break your heart?
Got you. So, it's not about my ex-girlfriends. But we'll talk about that another time.
No, but tell me about that also.
Well, see, like any healthy young boy, I fell in love several times by the time I was 16 years old. First with the teacher who was prettiest, then with a girl who I met in very romantic circumstances in Meerut, from where my family comes. The lights were off and this cousin of ours had taken us to meet this family, and he was showing off his lighter, this cousin of mine. So when the lights were off, he kept introducing all the girls one by one. He'd light the flame under the girl's nose and say, this is this one, and this is this one, and this is that one. And when he came to that one, my heart stopped for a second, I have to say. But I was 14 years old. It didn't last very long, that heartbreak. And it wasn't a heartbreak, actually. It was when you're in love with the idea of love, you're dying to fall in love at that age. So that's what happened to me. The bigger heartbreak is the question here. Which all these movies, I made a list, in fact, there are 35. And largely responsible for that is the shoddy treatment of the NFDC, who went on producing these movies and didn't bother about releasing them.
Okay.
Yeah, several of them are NFDC productions. Some of them are made by reputed filmmakers. There's a film by Gulzar Bhai in that list. I guess they were not saleable, the movies.
Okay, but how did they get, how did they even went on floor?
If it's with a starvation budget, I won't even call it a small budget.
Okay.
Starvation budgets. We made movies in 3.5 lakhs.
Oh.
Yes, it seems difficult to believe. I'll tell you, movies like Sazaye Maut, Albert Pinto, Jaane Bhi Do Yaaro was made in 5.
My God, that film is my all-time favorite. But Naseer sir, do you think like these days, because we have digital, sort of stream as a parallel medium where we can reach out to people, do you think
it's become easier?
It's easier.
But I would think that releasing a movie on the circuit has become tougher. Making it has perhaps become easier. Yeah. Many youngsters are getting reasonable budgets to make the kind of movies they believe in. But then they get crushed by the big Bollywood monsters who come along and take up every screening space available everywhere. So good small movies still have a difficult job ahead of them. Okay, my turn. Choices. Somebody said somewhere, I heard that an actor's talent depends on his choices.
You said that you always choose to do roles where there's a message being delivered that makes the viewer think differently and that shapes their choices. Do you think actors have a social responsibility towards this?
I think not just actors, all of us have, like as long as we are part of the larger picture. Of course, we hold that responsibility. But cinema cinema is engagement. It could be a film, could be a spectacle, a thriller, a comedy. So cinema has greater roles, and I think just to confine it to just being preachy and educational is I don't think is right. So yeah, I do agree that the highest of them all is a film which can make a difference. But then again, that would also be arguable.
But do you feel that films can make a difference?
Of course.
I would like to agree with you on this, but I really think that if there is an effect, it will be a cumulative one in the long run. I don't think a person watches a movie, no matter how brilliantly made or acted it may be, and comes out of the hall thinking that re-examining his life. I think it's a accumulation of such things which will perhaps make him re-examine his life. I really think that cinema is overrated as a means of change. I think documentaries perhaps can
So
fulfill
I
that
think
purpose, not feature.
cinema is definitely overrated as a means of change is in Indian society, because a lot of, I think, our problems that we face today in our society are courtesy our films. Whether it's eve teasing, wrong portrayal of character, whether
No,
it's
listen.
rape,
No,
whether
no,
it's
wait a minute. Now, I like to knock Hindi cinema a lot also. But I've met a person in my life who says to me, आपको मालूम है कि मुझ में जितनी अच्छाइयाँ हैं वो सब हिंदी सिनेमा की वजह से है. So I said, हाँ, really? He says, आप मुझे बताइए कौन सी हिंदी फिल्म ऐसी है जो ये कहती है कि चोरी करो, माँ बाप की इज्जत मत करो, देशद्रोही बनो, चोरी करो, डकैती डालो. हर हिंदी फिल्म ये कहती है कि अपने देश से प्यार करो, माँ बाप की इज्जत करो, ईमानदारी से काम करो. He says, ये आप क्यों क्रिटिसाइज करते रहते हैं? हिंदी सिनेमा तो बहुत अच्छी बातें हमें सिखाता है.
But so that's the takeaway. Each one has their own takeaway from a film. But our quintessential Indian hero is a goon. You can't deny that. He is somebody who breaks all the rules. He breaks law. He is never kind to his woman. He's always singing behind her back. No means yes. So this is the typical stereotypical portrayal of the quintessential Indian hero. So I think a lot of problems are caused by, and none of the films, like this year we saw Hindi medium, and I felt for the first time a film has deliberately tried to merge the social hierarchy, like the classes, the class system, and they've never tried to. There's always this aspirational, glossy portrayal, which takes us away from realism.
Sure.
And
But that's the whole purpose, to take you away from realism so that you don't think. That is the damage that these movies have done.
Yeah, so I think somewhere they have caused a lot more damage than actually taking up the responsibility of
I agree.
social
Yeah,
formation.
totally. But what is puzzling is how come the good things of Hindi cinema haven't affected us. It's only these negative things. And this has been immortalized since the days of my favorite hero, Shammi Kapoor, who always tormented the heroine first, and she hated him, then she fell in love with him, despite all his badtamizi.
Yeah.
And I, as a child, I found that very charming. And
Yeah.
But I don't say that I ever tried to emulate that, So it's still a question that's hanging in the air.
And like things like growing up, I've heard my cousins say that what kind of a girl is she, that I pursued her and she agreed. But what do you mean? So this kind of a psyche that I should be forcing myself onto you if you are like a real sort of nice person. So if she agreed, good for you. But so no, she's not the right girl.
She's
So
not,
because
yeah.
they have seen in films a hero like that whole
Yeah.
thing. If he has to chase the girl and the girl has to say no, and then you have to say yes. So yeah, I understand the kind of.
But choices, I mean, do you feel you made all the correct choices? Did you have a say in all the choices? In your career, I mean.
Not all the time. In fact, initially, when I had started out, any kind of a break meant a lot.
Right.
Like I said, the kind of situation I was in.
Right. Which was your first film, by the way?
Gangster. Gangster was my first
Right.
film. So, I mean, I don't think the kind of breakthrough I've had that time. Now people say, oh, you're facing failure and this and that, how do you feel? I think nothing feels, like the way failure felt back then. because for me it was a matter of life and death. Like I said, I had no way back. That time it actually meant a lot. Now it doesn't, like I've had that breakthrough, and since then I don't feel as desperate as I did long ago. So the real meaning of desperation is when you have no way back, you have nowhere to go. And of course, nothing is going to be like that ever. No amount of failure can make me feel how I felt when I failed an audition every time before Gangster and you didn't make it.
Did you ever entertain the thoughts of failure? That what if I fail? What will I do? Because I never did.
Of course, I did.
You did?
Yeah. In fact, just before Gangster, I was quite convinced that I am a.
You made a mistake.
No, I made a mistake, and I am a tragedy story. Like I am a tragic story. I will be remembered as someone who's made a mistake and a cautionary tale. That don't go her way. I was quite convinced because I'd had a series of quite unfortunate incidences, and before that I was very confident teenager, and then all of that. So it made me feel, okay, oh, I've made a mistake. In fact, when Gangster break come through and I had started filming, I did not have a rush of confidence. Oh, like out of millions I've made it, because I wasn't like a proper outsider. I was still a bit skeptical about, because Anurag was a very new director that time. He'd just done a film called Murder, which was quite infamous for its content, and all of that. So I was not very, I won't say that, I was like a bit skeptical. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, so.
But had you, when you were, you obviously wanted to be an actor right from your childhood, right?
No.
No?
No. I didn't, but I wanted to be successful. Like I wanted to be someone who is, like I said, like we have stories in our family. Like my great-grandfather is a politician. He's been like, for 15 years. And then my grandfather. And then these are the stories, like, they tell on dinner table and things like that. So I wanted to be one of those stories.
So how did you settle for acting then?
So I went to theatre in Delhi, called Asmita Group in India Habitat Center.
Yeah, Gaur.
Arvind Gaur. So he took me under his wings. It's my career as an actor is largely credited to him. So he said, we were doing a workshop and he's like, oh, you're very good. I'm like, really? Because I've not heard that word for like 8 years now. So he's like, you should do this. You're very good at it. So I think I credit my success to him. Talk about money. Here's the question.
Now, throughout your long and illustrious career, there may have been instances where you watched lesser actors walk away with better roles and better paychecks. What did this do to you? Did you become resentful in any way? Did you become bitter? Did it affect your love for acting?
Okay, to answer the last part of the question first, no, never. My love for acting has survived many phases of being completely stone broke and going without food for days. That's also happened, not only to me, but to guys like Om and others who were my contemporaries at the Film Institute. We were the ones given the least chance of succeeding in the film industry. I've been broke in Delhi and I've been broke in Bombay, and of course in between in Pune. Being Bombay is the best place to be broke in, if there can be such a thing as being good to be broke. Because Bombay somehow looks after you. Bombay is like a big father or a big mother, it looks after you. Delhi, I find a very hostile city. Bombay, I found there were always cheaper places to eat than ever I could find in Delhi. There were cheaper places to stay. There was somehow a way to survive in this city. I never dreamt of mountains of money. I always felt that money brings a lot of problems with it. My dad was a government servant. He used to get a salary of 1,000 rupees a month. And on that, he educated 3 of us in a boarding school. It wasn't and he and my mom survived on $400 a month, out of which they even saved every month. I never saw my mom or dad buy a new set of clothes for themselves, ever, through my life.
That can actually have a huge influence on our children upbringing. even the kind of family I come from, like my mother is particularly, very sensible with money, and I see those values in me as well. But yeah, I can't say the same about my father. But this business can get a bit extreme, even if you earn. There is no certainty, like you said. Even if you're a government employee or something, there is a bit of a balance in your life. You get a certain money per month, But even the biggest actors, and how dramatic these lives can be, and there are so many biopics made, and how there've been yesteryear actors who've
So many stories.
so many stories.
Of
They
them,
didn't have
yeah,
money
dying
to
in poverty. And they didn't foresee a day when things wouldn't be like this. They just took stardom for granted. I don't think any of them understood why they succeeded. Some pretty phenomenally successful actors, in my opinion, had no clue why they succeeded and had no clue why they failed. The reasons are very obvious if you study their work. But it's all, God's blessings. And so I should pray like hell and I'll be successful. This is the kind of belief that still pervades our industry. There are legions of stories of people who were phenomenally successful, who had bungalows on Pali Hill, who had fleets of cars and so on, and who ended up in chawls.
there are a lot of stories like that.
So I have to say that being sensible about money, I have not inherited my mom's and dad's habits. And also I'm very proud of another thing, that I've never done anything only for the money. My prayer always, as a kid who was dreaming of being an actor, was to have as much as I needed at that time. And that prayer has been answered.
I have done things, sometimes things which only specifically for money, and that has been the most agonizing experience of my life.
Yeah, ad films.
Ad films, and in some parts where the money is.
I have to add a rider. I've done ad films only for the money.
Ad films could be
There's
one
no
of
other
those.
reason to do them.
Yeah, and then you think that may God never bring you to a point in your life where you have to do something only for money, because it's.
But I have to say
very
that
painful.
the thought does occur to me every now and then, that supposing I have to travel by second class by train at some point in my life again, would I be able to do it? Have I gotten too soft? I'm pretty certain I would. If the need arose, I would. Right. My turn?
So your question.
You're among the very few actors who are unafraid to speak their mind. But unfortunately, this industry runs on relationships. Have you ever been afraid of losing work because you won't hold back?
Not really. Like recently, I've been told that because there are so many controversies around you, so the brands don't like someone who's always fighting for a cause. So probably that's the only thing that I've heard, which has sort of made me kind of think about it differently. I think this is how I see the world. I understand I'm a bit different, but I think that if you don't state the obvious, then what do you say? You have to, like I said, decide that which version of the out of all the things I should take, and that's too much. Like how do you even function with so much going on in your head? So I think it's a wrong notion that I want to, but at times I feel that I am also on the verge of people's attacks, and I just want to protect myself, and that too gets me a bit defensive. But no, I am not interested in. I am a career woman. I want to be successful. I am here to work. In fact, I want to do everything that I can in my capacity to be a thorough professional and to be a very convenient person to work with. Why wouldn't I? For that, I feel that I should work on my craft. I don't feel that I should, pamper egos and see कि क्या बोल के क्या होता है. No, I can't function like that. I am a bit kind of a
Totally.
simple pahadi that way.
I am totally in agreement with you. And I think the only people who are in danger of losing work because they speak their minds are those who have got work by being sycophants. Those are the only people here who will lose work.
I agree.
I don't think you need to worry at all.
Yeah.
You've got the confidence in yourself and in your work. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and I always said that if the one who can make you can break you, So always remember who has made you. If you have a godfather, you better be nice to that person. But
Yes.
if you have on your own ability and your own confidence and your own hard work made yourself that it's only you. You know who tells me that? Arbaz Khan. Every time I meet him, he tells me, Gabbar ko sirf Gabbar maar sakta hai."
लोहे को सिर्फ लोहा
agree.
कहता है.
So, last one is do not play for Naseer sir. Let's play, do not play.
Well, don't say you weren't warned. Here's your question. What do you dislike about the Hindi film industry?
Do we have a few hours? That's a very good question. If you'd asked what do I like, the answer might have been briefer. No, I love the Hindi film industry. It caters to millions and millions and zillions of viewers every day and entertains them with the most mindless content. It's serving a very useful function. It's it's deadening minds, which is very necessary. It's lowering tastes, which again is very necessary. We have plagiarists who are acclaimed as great writers, which is a very good thing. We have not just scripts which are borrowed from Hollywood, but we have also, when the poster design comes around, there's a guy turns up with an album of Hollywood film posters and says, we'll do this from this one and this from this one and this from that one.
Naseer sir, when I was in the US learning script writing, so there we have a class of copyrights and the business of cinema, that how to make your contracts for writers and all of that. There is one entire session for Indians, that how Indians are notorious for selling your material. So how you have to have a code, because they sell your material without permission, and you might just some days just stumble across a film which is your film, and what do you do about that? So how you have to have a clause. And I was like, can I please,
Yeah, it's quite astounding.
it's so embarrassing. You know what I don't like about Hindi films is that if something works, like say one thing works, everyone would, like I have had people, big studios, come to me and narrate me Queen script. Like they just narrated my own film to me.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what about
Queen
that?
जैसा कुछ बनाते हैं.
No, what
Same
about
thing.
that? They want to make the same thing
Same thing,
again. I'm like, are you guys realizing
Yeah.
it's the same film?
Yeah.
So so I think they have जो भेड़ चाल बोलते हैं ना, बस एक के पीछे, that is exhausting.
भेड़ चाल तो है ही, but it's also complete indolence and laziness, in my opinion.
Laziness.
How many filmmakers in Bombay bother to produce something original? Remaking this and at least now they're admitting that we are remaking
Yeah.
something. Earlier they would be remaking it, but they wouldn't admit it. I mean, Diwar is nothing but a remake of Ganga Jamna. Quite simply. The old Dilip Kumar movie.
Yeah.
Diwar is a remake of Ganga Jamna. Shan is a remake of Sholay. And so on and so forth. Ad nauseum, you can name movies like that. Now at least they are saying, oh, we are remaking movies which shouldn't have been made in the first place. I mean, in the old days it was, instead of a script, you were given a video cassette. Godfather का. Why are you giving me? I've seen the Godfather. नहीं, कुछ ऐसा बना रहे हैं हम. पर इसको कुछ एक ट्विस्ट देंगे हम. अच्छा, ट्विस्ट क्या देंगे? अगले हफ्ते मुगल आजम का कैसेट मुझे पकड़ा रहे. मैंने ये क्या है? बोले ये we will combine Godfather and मुगल. और वो शायद बन भी गई होगी. I will tell you the most classic story about Hindi cinema, which nobody will believe, but I swear to you it is true. I was shooting this film, which I will not name, in which I'm playing this honest police inspector, and one of these gangster types, three brothers who are gangsters, come to my office and they say, kya samajhta hai, all that sort of thing. And the guy who was doing this part, he had this long dialogue, and there was this applause and stuff after the shot was over, and everybody went very happily off to lunch. The writer was sitting there and applauding also. While I'm having lunch, the director comes into my makeup room with a white face, and he says, जी वो सीन फिर से शूट करना पड़ेगा. I said, क्यों यार इतना लंबी से नहीं करना पड़ेगा ना, वो जो तीसरा कैरेक्टर बैठा है ना, वो तो मर चुका है अब तक. I swear to you, this is true. और राइटर खुद बैठा हुआ ताली बजा रहा है, वाह वाह क्या सीन लिखा मैंने. So these are
I
some of the
totally-
reasons
I
how
totally
why I
believe
deeply
this.
love the Bombay. I really love the Bombay industry.
End tape.
I'd like to thank our two guests for an absolutely enriching conversation today. Join us next time as we fly beyond on another episode of TapeCast.
We definitely didn't earn this. It was pre-recorded.
That's a very bad question. Thank you very much.